Okay, so now it's recorded. Okay, to start with, just to look at our teaching plan. So right now is week 7, right? We still have quiz 2 that we haven't done. So by today we should have quiz 2, right? And then for next week lah. Next week we have a public holiday during our lecture time. I will still have a lab, not lab lah. I need to have a replacement for lecture 8, okay, next week, but I'll inform you later on. Possibly it will be on either Monday or Tuesday lah. Because Wednesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Perhaps we'll give our friend that celebrating Christmas, or perhaps those who wanted to stay a while in their villages or kampong or back home, we'll give them some time lah. Okay, so the replacement would be maybe on Tuesday or Monday lah. And also all the lab session, I will try to put into one session, and perhaps you can attend that session. Else, if you're unable to attend, you can watch the recorded video, and then perhaps you make some comment, and I'll give you attendance for that. Right? Okay. So that will be for this week and for next week. Right. For this week, okay, I'll start with this diagram. Where is it? This diagram lah. Okay. So this is an infographic lah, with relates to Ethernet. And Ethernet is being evolved so many lengthy lah, because when they started to have this information to be shared through network devices, okay. So the Ethernet start to evolve by perhaps for very low data, for just for what they call it, just for data transfer. Then you go to multimedia transmission, and then right now you need to need a real time data transmission. Okay, so with respect to this request or requirement, basically you'll see that the the not the cable lah, is I mean the connectivity have changed a lot lah. Okay, if you look at this part where this it start with this what they call it, Ethernet, the basic Ethernet lah, the standard Internet with a 10 base T, which we'll touch later. Okay, with copper wire. Okay, then it's stretched to 100 Mbps, the data speed. Then they move to 1 gigabit per second. Okay, mostly now using fiber optic cables, right? So you will see that copper wire still being used, but also fiber optics being implemented lah. Okay, so right now with high speed network, okay, you need to have high speed of data center communication. Okay, so you are looking around 10 Gbps to 400 Gbps lah. Okay, so if you want to understand further, okay, with this Ethernet evolution and also the list of different standard, okay, you can look at IEEE 802.3 standards. Okay, I'll show you also you the list later on. Okay, so basically, if you go to this standard, it will talk about all these different formation of and details about the Ethernet itself, right? Starting from the standard, then you have the fast Ethernet, gigabit, 10 gigabit, and so forth. Okay, and then for the communication, also later on you'll see that you have this kind of terminology. Okay, so fiber optics cable suffix, for instance, you have the short term of SX of or SR. Basically, this is for short range. Okay, so as mentioned here, is a multi-mode fiber within a building. Short range means that it is very close by lah. Okay, and then you can also have when you want to lay down cables within acceptable range lah. So across a campus, for instance, so you use this long range lah. But if you wanted to extend further, okay, usually you use the extended range, okay, ER, single mode fiber with for metro distance and so forth. Okay, then we have some other specialized Ethernet standard, for instance, power over Ethernet. Basically, this is where you can also have your Ethernet communication through your electric cables, okay? And then you also have Ethernet for New Frontier, right? Including standard for automotive network, machine to machine, and long range IoT. Okay, and also you can also have this network control efficiency protocol for managing data flow and so forth. Okay, so basically this is a summary of the Ethernet that we'll look into later, or perhaps we'll discuss today. Okay, so but in the meantime, if you have any question, please turn on your voice, because I'm not able to switch between my slide and also the chat. Okay, so if you need to ask, or if you need to do or if you need to ask something, so please turn on your mic lah, right? Okay. So with that, okay, let's jump into our lecture, right? So for today, our lecture will be evolving around the local area network technology lah. Okay, so we have defined that the network architecture we have, for instance, based on distance, we have the local area network, LAN, shortly known as LAN. We have the wide area network. Okay, we have the metropolitan area network. We can also have the personal area network, or perhaps we can also have campus area network. Okay, but basically this is all depending on the distance. Okay, if you want to define it differently, okay, you can do that. Okay, but the term LAN, WAN, and MAN is basically based on the distance. Okay, but focusing on local area network technology for today, we'll try to cover what we call wired LAN, the standard local area network, which you have the cable connection, and also wireless local area network, which you don't need any cables for you to transfer data between devices. Okay, so this will be your Wi-Fi, or perhaps we also touch a bit on Bluetooth, right? Okay, so to understand the LAN, okay, we need to go into Ethernet, which is the actual implementation. The LAN is basically some terminology that you use loosely, right? But now we wanted to detect, or we wanted to know more about the Ethernet itself, which the one that being implemented for your wired communication lah. Okay. So later we'll see that it has the function of logical link control (LLC) and medium access control, which we already defined last week lah. Okay, and identify different Ethernet protocols to cater different link speed and interface. Right. So when they started, they have only then the 10 Mbps speed of Ethernet. Then that is called the standard Ethernet. Then it evolve, and also it will have a very high speed kind of link lah. Okay, so then also we also touch a bit on wireless LAN. Okay, and the different type of 802.11, which is the standard for Wi-Fi. For Ethernet, I've mentioned just now 802.3, IEEE 802.11, and IEEE 802.3. Okay, and then we also have a Bluetooth types of standard, which is 802.15. Okay, so these are the standard that you can refer to. For instance, if you go to if you go to the IEEE 802 dot organization, okay, you can actually see the information that related to the Ethernet. Let me just put it again. 802 IEEE IEEE 802.org. Okay, so here it will give you the list of all the 802. Okay, and with the different dotted dash dot after the dot 802.1, 802.3, 802.11. So you can see that they have different standards that being defined. Okay, so each and every of these working group, okay, they will define the standard for that specific standard documentation. For instance, Ethernet working group, it is 802.3. Okay, so if you click here, you will see much more details on what are the different 802 family members lah that currently being discussed or perhaps currently being standardized lah. Okay, so these are the working group, means that these are the industry person that actually discuss on what the common terms or information or standards that they wanted to have for that specific 802. Okay, so you have the 802.3 here. Okay, perhaps you can look into it later on. Okay, so also you can go to like Wikipedia. This is not a good references, but it can give you some basic idea. Like mentioned, 802.32, 802.3b, and these are the different standards that can be defined differently for some different communication. Like for 802.3 AK, it is based for 10 gigabit CX4. Okay. 802.3 AN is for 10 gigabit base T. Okay, so these are the actual standard that being defined, and perhaps these are the years approval date which currently being approved, right? Okay. All right. So wired LAN wired local area network, or perhaps before we have the wireless, basically we can just mention this as a local area network technology. So they use this term or standard called Ethernet. So being defined by IEEE 802.3. Okay. So they will have different types of Ethernet with different speed lah. So they started with defining the standard Ethernet 10 Mbps. Let me just change my pointer to pen. Okay, they already have this 802.3 where you have the basic one with the standard Ethernet 10 Mbps. Then you have with this high 100 Mbps speed. And it is being called fast Ethernet. Then you have the 1 Gbps and 10 Gbps. Okay, so basically, this is the speed that connect between the devices lah, of your networking devices. Okay, so you have this several technology. Okay, but this the most dominant is Ethernet lah. So Ethernet is the one that being used widely. Okay, so we have the LAN can cause an isolated network to connect computers in the organization for a sole purpose sharing network. Most LAN today are linked with linked in a wide area network or the internet. Okay, so when you connect multiple LANs, you can get a wide area network itself, right? And then this is a comparison lah. You have the layering. Okay, so this is the physical layer and this is the data link layer. Okay, and you will see that you have this logical link control, which is similar for different types of interface lah. So you can have this 10 Mbps interface. You can have 100 Mbps interface, gigabit Ethernet interface, and also you can change this to wireless. Okay, so you will have also the MAC because you will need to share this with multiple user, and then you have this physical link signaling. Okay, and the MAU is the medium. What do you call it? MAU. Okay, I'll get back to that. Okay, so you have all this, the transceiver lah. Transceiver here means that is a transmitter and receiver. Transmit means that you send. Receive is the receiver is where you receive the signal lah. Okay, so you will see that for different medium or different interface, okay, you will have a different setup lah. For instance here, you will have the medium, then the MAU, and also AUI, okay, PLS, okay, and then you also have this for 10 gigabit, which is totally different, and so forth. Okay, so we'll we'll look into that much later. Okay, so you will have this common sub-layer. They call it logical link control. Then you have the MAC that actually shared the medium for multiple user. The MAC or defined over here, sorry. Medium attachment unit. Okay, then AUI is being defined as attachment unit interface and so forth. Okay. So it started with the traditional internet lah, traditional internet or just known as Ethernet with a speed of 10 Mbps, and it used what we call CSMA CD lah, collision sense multiple access with collision detection lah, carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Okay, because you only have one channel half duplex lah connecting between the devices. Okay. And you have the share media that been shared. So this is where your MAC layer will actually perform the governing of the operation of the access method. Here it means that you have one channel that being shared by multiple users. So you have the MAC layer, media access control, that manage how all these layers can send and receive information on the network itself. Okay. And then you also have frame that receive data from the upper link layer and pass them to the PLS, okay, sub-layer for encoding and so forth. And they use this one persistent CSMA CD as the access method lah, right? Moving to the next slide, you will see that this is the frame format, okay? What does it mean by frame format? It means that this is the how you have the standard or the term format, okay, when you want to send one Ethernet frame lah, okay. So that is what we call this frame format. Okay, so you have 7 components. You have the primable, you have the SDF, okay, and then you have the destination address, source address, length of type, data and padding, and CRC. Okay, so the I think some of the terminology you already understood. Like the CRC is for data identification lah, error detection. Okay, and then the data and padding basically is the actual data. This is the actual data coming from the upper layer. It will be inserted to here. Okay, the rest is additional. Okay, the main one is actually the data that we want to send. Okay, and the rest is additional to manage and to make sure that this information is being sent properly. Okay, so the destination and the source address is very important. Okay, since this is the data link layer, so it will be the physical address lah. Okay, so you need to know what is the destination address for you to send, and your self information address will need also to be implemented over here, right? Then the length of or type, okay, and also FD and primable. The primable, the SFD will explain on the next slide. Okay, so perhaps we can look at this also. So it's here, basically it says here physical layer. The rest of this is being implemented on the data link layer. Then when it goes to physical layer, we'll add this primable and SFD. Okay, basically this is to make sure that you are having separation between all the different frame format. Okay, so you know that this is for frame 1, okay, and all the data information that related to frame 1. Then another primable or SSD later on for the next frame and so forth. Okay. Ethernet does not provide any mechanism for acknowledging receive frame, making it known as an unreliable medium. Okay, so on this Ethernet frame, okay, because we don't have any kind of acknowledgement like we have on the transport layer, okay, we are unable to give a reliable communication lah. So it is being defined as unreliable communication. Okay, no acknowledgement. Okay, so what is the primable? It's actually it's a bits lah, a set of bit that alerting the receiving system that there's a coming frame, okay, and enable it to synchronize its input timing. Okay, so this one, if you learn about electronics, okay, so you need to synchronize between the sender and the receiver, or else you get some discrete information that are totally different from what you want to receive. Okay, so you want to make sure that the synchronization, okay, is on par. Okay, so here you will start to do synchronization, and then you have the 56 bit pattern. Okay, 56-bit pattern, basically this 7 byte. You have times by 8 bits, right? 1 byte is 8 bit. 8 times by 7 is 56. Okay, so you have 56 bits of uh, bits lah, and pattern that allow the station to miss some bit at the beginning of the frame, and the prevert is actually added at the physical layer and it's not formally part of the frame. Okay, so as mentioned, even is here mentioned that this is on the physical layer implementation, but just to show you that this whole frame format, this is to start of the frame, and then the rest is the information that relates to the information that you want to send lah. Then you have the start frame delimiter. Okay, after you have synchronized. Okay, and then this one will give you information of the last chance of synchronization. So partly they are hand in hand to make sure that the beginning of the frame is being properly being aligned lah. And the last 2 bit are 11 and alert the receiver that the next frame is the destination address. Okay, so you have the SDF. The 1 byte means you have 8 bits. Okay, so the last 2 bit are being defined as 1 1. So after that, everything will be the information starting with the destination address. Okay. Okay, then they define this length or type. Okay. If it's less than 1518, okay, here it says that if the field defined as a length tag or type field, okay, there can be two different format lah. Either it define the length of the data, okay, or the type itself lah. Okay, if it's less than 1518, it is a length field and define the length of data field that follows. Means that it will define, because this data it can stretch between later we'll see that it can stretch between 46 to 1500 byte. Okay, so I'll also will tell you later lah why we have this different why do you have this minimum and maximum data of information. Okay, but right now, okay, so this length, if it's less than 1518, means that that is the length field lah. Okay, and if it's more than greater than 1536, okay, it define the type of PDU, right? So it will define what is the type of the PDU packet that encapsulate in the frame. Then this data and padding, okay, where this field carry the data encryption from the upper layer, okay, and it has a minimum of 46 bytes and 1500 bytes. Okay, so meaning that in this Ethernet frame, it doesn't have a fixed length lah. It can only have a minimum and a maximum. It cannot go greater than this. Okay, so the idea behind this is that if it's too small, okay, it's not really effective sending it, because all the other additional information that you send with respect to this data and padding, if it's too small, is inefficient of data transfer lah. So you need to have perhaps a minimum of 46. Okay, but if you have lesser than this, you will have what they call it, some padding lah that you have to insert so that you can achieve this minimum of 46 bytes altogether. And also you have to cap to 1500, because we need to make sure that one packet, okay, doesn't actually dominate the main channel lah. So this one, if you have a very large data to be sent, And since this is what we call packet switching, so packet switching, we need to actually, if you have a very large size of data, you have to chunk, or you have to cut it into small pieces. Then you can send these small pieces one by one, and you can also have other users to share the channel to deliver the same or to deliver other types of data. So you need to make it limit, else the same user will dominate the channel and it won't be that efficient, right? So that is why you have the maximum and the maximum. And lastly, you have the CRC. This is for error detection, and it use the CRC32, right? Okay, so coming to this part, okay, where you have the maximum payload and the minimum payload, right? So again, this is because after some experimental, we need to have this to make sure that the network is efficiently being designed lah. Okay, so internet has imposed restriction on both minimum and maximum length of frame as shown here. Okay, with respect to this, okay, you have the 46 byte, which is equal to 512 bits, okay, and the maximum of 1518 bytes, which is around 12,144 bytes, okay. And the rest also being defined. The CRC is using 4 bytes, okay. 8 times 4 is actually 32 bits, okay. And then the PDU length is 16 bits, okay. Then 6 times 8 is 48 bits, okay. So this is the MAC address, because the MAC address is 48 bits, okay. So this is 8 times 6 is 48, okay. So this is the MAC destination address and source destination address, right? So if the upper layer is less than 46, okay, padding is added to make up the differences, meaning that they need to pad or insert some maybe unintended lah, or non-informal information into this data payload so that you can transmit. Okay, so this is how you can look at the frame length. Okay, so in total, you will have a maximum of 1815 bytes when you have this payload of 1500 bytes. Okay, and if you have this 46 byte, you will have a total of 64 bytes, a minimum of the frame length. Okay. Okay, so this is the MAC address. I think we've already touched. So it's a 6 byte, 48 bits, right? So usually being defined as this is in hexadecimal. You have the 6 this one lah, 12 hexadecimal digit. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, each one here is 4 bits. Okay, so 4 times by 12 is 48. Okay, so in bits is 48 bits. In hexadecimal is 12 hexadecimal. But in bytes, okay, it's actually 6 byte altogether, right? Then for addressing, here it defines that for the communication, you can have 3 different options. The first one is called unicast. Then you have the multicast and also the broadcast. Okay. As a simple comparison, unicast is when you have a one-to-one communication. Okay. A multicast and broadcast usually a bit different, or sometimes people will get confused. What I can say is that broadcast is actually sent to everyone lah. The simplest thing is that broadcast is where you send the information to everyone. Okay. Whereas for multicast is basically a selection of a group. Okay. Perhaps you have a group of address that you already identified. Okay. And then you send. But it will become one to many lah. Here one to one. Okay. Whereas broadcast is to all the station of the network. Okay. So this is how it is being defined. Later on the few slides, we'll see that the broadcast, okay, how would be the destination address, because the sender address usually it will be the MAC address. Okay, For the broadcast, you need to have some the address lah. So here it define all 8 lah, 48 of ones. Okay, so you have 1, meaning that all the 48 bits is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Everything is 1. Okay, and for unicast, okay, so if the destination address is 0, the address is unicast. Means that the first byte. Okay, so here, if this first least significant bits, okay, of the first byte is 0, this represent this is unicast. If this is 1, it is represent a multicast. So that's the difference lah. And how you can indicate if you receive the bit or byte, and you can identify it's either broadcast, multicast, and unicast. Okay. So broadcast usually when you wanted to ask the whole network, for instance, for ARP, right? So you use a broadcast where you want to ask which address that have this IP address, okay, and what is the MAC address. So you will try to broadcast it, and then the user will send a unicast indicating that I'm the user lah, or I'm the IP address with that specific IP address, and this is my MAC address. Okay. So similar to that, a unicast one is point to point lah. Okay, the reply from the broadcast for ARP just now is a unicast type of transfer. Okay, and multicast usually for instance for streaming. Okay, or if you have a multicast group that you already predefined. Okay, so that is where you use multicast. Okay, so here it says that just to repeat, when the last LSB of the first byte is 0, then this is considered as a unicast. If this is 1, okay, then this is multicast, right? So that is what it defined. And for broadcast destination address, okay, usually this is the destination lah. A special case of multicast address in which all bits are 1. So you have the 1, 1, 1, 1, all until the 48 bits of ones. Okay. Then coming back to the Ethernet evolution, right? So you have the standard one, you have the fast Ethernet, you have the gigabit Ethernet and 10 gigabit Ethernet. Also, you have other modern speed up to 400 Gbps. Okay, so just imagine that this is being implemented at your own PC lah. So between your PC to PC or PC to your router, you have all these high speed link. Okay, if being implemented, for instance, at home, you have this 1 Gbps. So you have a very high speed lah. The one that usually making your data or your internet slow is that when you go to your access the internet gateway. Okay, because now you need to subscribe to your internet service provider. Okay, for instance, for TM Unify, for instance, you can subscribe either 100 Mbps or perhaps 800 Mbps. Now you have 1 Gbps, and I think it's also 10 Gbps. Okay, so the limitation or the bottleneck is actually the connection between your wired or your home network to the ISP, right? Within your house, it should be much faster lah, okay, because you can implement any of this, okay. But it started with this standard internet of 10 Mbps, right? So in 10 Mbps, basically you will see that you have also this sub component or other different type of they call it family members lah for your standard Ethernet. Okay, you can call it Ethernet itself. You can call it traditional, or you can also call it standard lah. Okay, because this is the first one lah. Traditional Ethernet or standard Ethernet is the same thing lah when you have this 10 base T. Okay, how do you determine? The very basis is that the speed of the Ethernet is only 10 Mbps. Okay, so you see that all these family members, you have the 10, okay, 10 base 5, 10 base 2, 10 base T, and 10 base L. The first two, okay, which is using this bus topology and coaxial cable, right? basically the 5 and 2 is actually the distance between the user or the transmitter, what they call between the transmitter lah, or else the signal will be dropped. So this is actually 500 meters. Okay, so it's not that long lah. And this one 2 means that 200 meters. Okay, later on you'll see. This is the T here means it's a twisted cable. Okay, unsheathed twisted cable, but use a star topology. And here is fiber, using fiber lah with a star topology. Okay, so these four are standard internet. The common is 10 base T, okay, or 10 Mbps. Okay, and then the 5 here represent is 500 meters. 2 here represent the 200 meters. T is the twisted cable, the STP, UTP, and FL is the fiber optic link lah. Okay, but the speed is 10, and the different here is using bus and here is using star. Okay, so something like this lah. 10 base 5, okay, as mentioned, it can go a maximum of 100 meters. After that, the signal will be dropped. Okay, so you will have difficulties to deliver lah. And then this is on the coaxial cable lah. And for 10 base 2, basically the highest is 185 meter. Okay, so but we kept it into 2 lah. So 10 base 2 means that the distance is almost 200 meters. Okay, and you can see that here is using an external lah, external transceiver. Mentioned here, external transceiver. Okay, you don't have kind of what they call it, slot lah, or your interface in your PC at that moment. It's just externally. Okay, and then here for 10 base T, you are either using internal or external, but here doesn't mention it is an external one. Okay, even you cannot see the transmitter transceiver. So this is actually an internal type of transmission. Okay, so this is what we call T connector. Okay, so this where you wanted to connect, you use T connector and so forth. Okay. Then started to using star, where you use your, for instance, your switch. Okay, star network. Okay, so you use star topology right now. Okay, by having this, it means that you can have your switch, okay, connected to all your end devices, right? And then the FL here is using fiber optics. Okay, so that is the difference between all these standard Ethernet lah. Okay, so just a summary. Okay, the distance it can cover 500 meters for 10 base 5, 180 meters, almost 200 meters for 10 base T, then 100 meters for 10 base T. Okay, and for the fiber optics, you can go to up to 2 kilometers. Okay, so fiber optics is much more further distant. But at that moment, fiber optics is considered expensive. Okay, because the fiber optics have not been developed properly at that moment lah. Okay, so the one that being used is coaxial cable. Remember, coaxial cable is just like when you use your what they call it, Astro, okay, for connecting between your dish to your device, okay, to your box, okay, so you are using coaxial cable, similar to that lah. And then you have the UTP as the one that you usually use lah for your Ethernet, the blue cable, usually the blue one. This is 2 UTP. 2 UTP means that you have 2 cables lah, twisted pair. Okay, but with this twisted pair, it means that you can have only one one, what they call it, half duplex lah. Okay, only one at a time, right? Line encoding, this one you don't have to consider. This is Manchester encoding, not saying that Manchester City or Manchester United. This is Manchester encoding. Okay, so maybe some of you, hey, why don't you use Liverpool? Don't you use what they call Chelsea, or why don't you use perhaps Wolf? Okay, so that is not related to EPL lah. So this is Manchester encoding itself, right? Okay. And then remember that when we do our lab, right? I always mention about collision domain. Okay, so here the term collision domain, okay, that I've mentioned during our lab session, right? So here it means that within the same network, okay, if you are on a same local area network, okay, so if you have a lot of user, so you will have to contend or you have to fight for that channel. Okay. So with respect to that, that is what we call collision domain. Means that if you have 7 user, you will have high collision domain because you have to fight with 7 other user. Okay. As compared to your star topology, right? For each connection between your switch and your device, actually you have just one user that can be connected. Okay, so you have a lower collision domain lah. But here it mentioned about separate collision domain. Okay, so on the next slide you will see that if you have this 10 users, how can you reduce the collision domain, the number of collision domain? Okay, by perhaps you introducing a bridge lah. Okay, and eventually this bridge can also become the switch, the similar to switch, whereby you can actually reduce the amount of collision number of collision domain within that network. Okay, because now you separate it into different number of user. And then to more extreme, we also have already done in our lab where you can separate it much more. Okay, although they are on the same physical switch. Okay, but you can separate it much more by using virtual local area network. Okay, so that separation will actually reduce the contention. And perhaps like this one later you will see that it will also raise the bandwidth lah. Okay, so the bridge so the bridge Ethernet, okay, is the first step in the Ethernet evolution of dividing the LAN by the bridge. Okay, so the bridge have two effect on the Ethernet. One is to raise the bandwidth and then to separate the collision domain. Okay, so what does it mean by raise the bandwidth? Below here explain what do you mean by raising the bandwidth, right? So by having raising the bandwidth here, it means that if you have two station and you give same chance, okay? So for the first station, you are sharing the time, okay? Like TDMA, time division multiplexing. So this is the first station. The first station will send at time 1, okay? Time 3, time 5, and also time 7. Okay. And then for second station, it will send at time number 2, time number 4, number 6, and number 8. Okay. Because we don't want that it to be collided. So we send this. Okay. But with this, you can see that when one station is sent, the other station refrain from sending. Okay. We can say that on average, each station send a rate of 5 Mbps. So if you average this, okay, instead of 10 Mbps that you send for in one frame, but alternately, basically you can say that is a 5 Mbps. Okay, so the channel is actually maximum 10 Mbps, but because you have two stations, so you have to actually just share or use it on the second time frame lah. Okay, so this is how you can look at it lah. Okay, so say that lah. You have this 12 user. Okay, so 1 until 12 over here, right? They are connected without a bridge. Okay, so the bandwidth would be if you have 10 Mbps. Okay, so you have to divide by 12 user. Okay, so here the bandwidth is 10 divided by 12 Mbps. Okay, because you have one user, okay, you will need to share with the other 11 user on the same link. Okay, but when you break it through bridge, okay, so now you only have 6 per side. Okay, so each side will actually have a bandwidth of 10 Mbps, which is now divided by 6. Okay, so also here 10 by 6. So you will see that you have higher bandwidth as compared to this whole connection without bridge. Okay, so with that, you can say that it raised the bandwidth. Okay, so with the bridge, if you separate it into two different network, okay, so you can actually increase the bandwidth lah. To much extreme, okay, if you have a bridge of 4 port, okay, so you can actually divide it much further. Right now, you will have 10 divided by 3 Mbps. Okay, so this will be much higher, the bandwidth lah, as compared to without the bridge, right? Okay, and then the term separation collision domain, right? So the collision domain become much smaller and the probability of collision is reduced. Okay, same thing that I've mentioned. Instead of fighting between all these all 12 devices, okay, so now you just need to fight between these three. Okay, so you will have higher probability of transmitting. Okay, and with respect to that, we call it lower collision domain lah. Okay. So without bridging, 12 station content for access to the medium, while bridging only 3 station content for the access to the medium. Content here means that fight lah. You need to fight with other user, although you can manage it using random channel communication, or perhaps you have reservation and so forth. But it's still you need to make contention, or you need to rearrange it so that you can have this smaller number of users. Okay, but basically here you just separate it. Okay, so then it also extended to what we call switch Ethernet. Okay, so with this bridge LAN, okay, we can also extend it as a switch LAN. Okay, so instead of having 2 or 4 networks, why not have n networks? Okay, so now with the 24 port like you are usually used in the lab, right? So you have these 24 ports. Okay, so you have 1 until 24. Okay. So you can separate lah. This one is for network 1, this one for network 2, this one network 3 and so forth. Or perhaps you buy a smaller switch lah. So 4 port of switch. Okay. And then you can separate it. Okay. So this is how you can start to have a switch LAN lah. Okay. So where N is the number of station of the LAN. Or in another word or other word, if we can have multiple port bridge, why not have an N port of bridge? In which way, in this way, the bandwidth is shared only between the station and the switch. Okay. So you have 5 Mbps each. Can in addition to collision domain is divided into N domains. Okay, and layer 2 switch is an N port bridge with additional sophisticated that allows faster handling of the packet. Okay, so switch is a layer 2 device. Okay, so basically later we'll see also that when you discuss about spanning tree protocol, when you have data coming from one port, it will actually replicate to all the other port. Okay, that is why you will see that it's not that efficient using layer 2 switch lah. With routers, okay, if you have 3 ports, okay, so you can send and you will indicate which port that will need to be processed, not being replicated on each and every port lah for it. Okay, so with that, we have this separate N, they call it N port switch lah. N port bridge. Okay, so you have this switch. Okay, and this one only have this collision domain with this switch only. So you have if you have 10, okay, meaning that you are dividing by 2 only lah, right? Okay, so you have 5 Mbps of your bandwidth lah for this channel and for each and every channel. So they are separated, so they don't have to contend, or they don't have to fight with each other, right? Okay. Then additional to that, we will see that for our standard Ethernet, okay, they are not full duplex, okay, because they are using 2 copper wire, twisted copper wire. So it says here one of the limitation of 10 base 5 and 10 base 2 is that they are using half duplex, okay. But when you use 10 base T, is already a full duplex, okay. So the next step is to move the switch Ethernet to full duplex switch Ethernet, right? And the full duplex modes increase the capacity of each domain from 10 to 20 Mbps. Okay, so now you have 10 Mbps sending and 10 Mbps receiving. So you have actually 20 Mbps. Okay, so instead of using one link between the station, the configuration use two links. Okay, so now you can have a full duplex, one to transmit and one to receive. Okay, and for flow and error control in full duplex switch Ethernet, a new sublayer called MAC control is added between the LLC sublayer and the MAC sublayer. Okay, so this is for the flow and error control. Um, moving to the next slide. Okay, in full duplex switch network, there is no need for CSMA CD. Okay, remember that you don't have to contend. Okay, so you can just have one channel without the CSMA CD method, because now you have full duplex, one for sending and one is for receiving. So one from PC to the switch, the other one from switch to the PC. So you don't need to have this CSMA CD. Okay. And there's no need for carrier sensing. There is no need for collision detection. So you don't need to have this additional parameter. Okay. Because you already have a proper transmit and receive of a full duplex switch network. Okay. And usually when you already have the standard thing, right? Okay. Usually user will ask you, can we have a much better one? Okay. So usually it's the speed lah. So now it will increase to 100 Mbps, and this is called fast Ethernet. Okay. Uh, the one of the idea is to maintain lah anything. Okay. Just to change the speed and keep the max sub layer untouched. Okay. The access method is still use the SMACD if you are not using the base T lah. And of course, for duplex, there is no need for CSMACD. Frame format, minimum and maximum frame length and addressing are the same for 10, 100 Mbps Ethernet. Okay. Okay, so in the lab also we have this what we call auto negotiation, right? So when we do lab, no negotiate, no what do you call it? No negotiate means that this term lah, no auto negotiation. What does it mean? The no auto or auto negotiation here is to have this auto negotiation. This is for what we call a fallback method, so that it is compatible with the frame or the format before lah. So this allow device to negotiate the mode and data rate of the application operation, because you wanted to make it compatible lah, to allow incompatible device to connect to one another, and to allow one device to have multiple capabilities, and to allow a station to check hub capabilities. Okay, so basically, the auto negotiation is when you have perhaps in your network you have the Ethernet, standard Ethernet, and fast Ethernet. So with this auto negotiation, you will have a compatible device, because it will need to actually low down the speed, although you have the capacity of 100 Mbps. But once you connected to another network that or cable with maybe 10 Mbps, so you have to negotiate to a lower, okay, because it cannot go up, right? Okay, so this is where the auto negotiation. So in our lab, no negotiation. So it means that we don't want it to do any negotiation at the back end lah. Okay, so for fast Ethernet so fast Ethernet, you have two different sub type of fast Ethernet. The first one is 100 base X, okay, and the other one is 100 base T. Okay, so this is for twisted pair with 4 cables lah. So 4 cable means that is a full duplex. So 100 here is the speed, same as here. 100 represent that base or 100 is the speed. Okay, T is the twisted pair, and 4 is the 4 cables. Okay, so 4 wires implemented for this 100 base T. Then X, okay, which is two implementation, the two-wire implementation is called base X. Okay, so this is also using copper wire. Okay, also using two wires lah. X is a two wire. Okay, if it's TX is a twisted cable, if FX is a fiber optic cable. Okay, so meaning that your switch will need to have the connection is based on whatever fiber or copper wire, and also the termination or your interface should also be available with respect to this specific copper wire or fiber optics lah. Okay. And then for the next slide, recent need for higher speed. So you define a gigabit Ethernet with 1000 Mbps, okay, or 1 Gbps. Okay, so for the whole idea, you want to keep the MAC sublayer untouched. However, when it comes to sending at 1 gigabit rate per second, it was no longer possible. Okay, so it has two different distinct using half duplex, okay, or full duplex, okay. But it's actually most inclined to this full duplex lah. Okay, so you use the full duplex approach for that implementation. Okay, and for the gigabit Ethernet, okay, you have all these family members. The base is 1000, means that this is 1 gigabit lah. Gigabit per second. Okay, and then you have the X just now, two wires lah. Okay, two wire. This is also two wire, and this is two wire. Okay, and this base T is 4-wire UTP. Then S is for short optical fiber, right? So perhaps this is for your indoor communication. Long wave is for instance for your between building to building, or at the roadside lah. Okay, so you have this SX and FX. Okay, so LX. Okay, long and also short. Okay, and then you have this 1000 base SX. Okay, and 1000 base LX. This is for two cable lah, fiber optic cable, LX and SX. Okay, and the 1000 base TX implemented was designed using STP cable. Okay, but it has not been implemented. Okay, so I think we've already discussed what is STP. This is shielded twisted pair cables. It is much more expensive. Okay, being defined or being introduced by at that time, if not mistaken, is by Intel. Okay, so they are not fully utilized. Usually they use UTP and unshielded twisted pair cable. Okay, so this is not being fully utilized, right? Okay, any questions so far? Okay, if not, before we jump into the next slide, okay, perhaps I can show you this diagram. Where is the diagram just now? Okay, so this diagram lah with respect to Wi-Fi. Okay, so this diagram shows you some infographic that related to Wi-Fi. If you focus on the bottom part of it, okay, you can see that, oh, you cannot see everything. Okay, let me just maximize this. Okay, so if you look at the bottom part of this, these are the frequency that being used. Okay, so 2.5 gigahertz. Okay, basically this is a free frequency band. Okay, means that any devices can use this without need to get license lah. So when you design 2.5 gigahertz, is considered as an unlicensed band, frequency band. But since 2.4 is free, so you have a lot of other users. So perhaps when you have or using this, you will have a lot of interference from other channel lah. Okay, so this being implemented in your, for instance, at your home, right? So when you have 2.4, then your two side of your neighbors also using the 2.4 gigahertz. Okay, so perhaps they are using the same channel, or perhaps there's a high number of users using this channel, so you will get less performance. Okay, then they introduce this 5 gigahertz. Also, this is a free band. Okay, so it will actually be optional to 2.4. So right now, when you subscribe to your Unify, usually they will have two frequency band, 2.4 gigahertz and also 5 gigahertz, right? Okay. So here the difference is that with the 2.4, it can penetrate the wall, the house wall lah. Okay. So this is lower bandwidth. Sorry, this is lower frequency band. Okay. But it can go further. Okay, remember V equal to F lambda. When you have a higher, a lower bandwidth, you will have a higher um, distance that it can go lah. Okay, so it can penetrate further. And then the 2.5 usually is for shorter range. Okay, so if best it's being connected to a very close proximity. Okay, and now they also introduce this 6 gigahertz. Okay, also they will need to have a very short distance, right? So this is the different frequency band, right? And then for the Wi-Fi, okay, it will be based on 802.11 standard, IEEE 802.11 standard, okay, which define Wi-Fi. And right now it's operating at 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz frequency for to meet modern demand and speed and efficiency, right? So right now people are talking about Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6, okay? So what is Wi-Fi 6? Basically, Wi-Fi 6 is here lah, 802.11 AX, okay, with high efficiency. Okay, now you can have the three frequency band at 2.4, 5, and 6 in Wi-Fi 6. Okay, but before that, in Wi-Fi 4, okay, 802.11n, okay, you only have this up to 600 Mbps. Okay, but with high throughput. Then evolve to Wi-Fi 5 with 802.11 AC, very high throughput. Okay, so focus on the 6 GHz band for faster video. With speed up to 3.5 gigahertz. Okay, and then moving to Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, and eventually they are moving to Wi-Fi 7, 802.11 BE, extreme throughput, where it is designed for AR, VR, ultra low latency with speed up to 5 gigabit per second. Okay, so these are the evolution of your wireless communication. Okay, so with this, we enter the wireless local area network. Okay, so similar to the local area network, but now the difference is that we don't have any cable connected directly to your devices. So it needs to have this data link layer, which they connected to the wireless interface card rather than the Ethernet interface card lah. Okay, so for wireless communication, okay, it's not fast growing already. It's already being fully utilized lah, because in MMU itself we already use Wi-Fi for our communication. Okay, so we have Wi-Fi on our building, on our hostel. Okay, even in our what they call it, food court also we are having Wi-Fi connectivity. Okay, so the term or the standard is 802.11. Okay, wireless LAN, and we have this also another wireless communication, Bluetooth. So this one is much more shorter distance. Okay, but we will cover this also lah. Okay. So 802.11, this one, Bluetooth is 802.15 eh. Okay, so 802.11 is Wi-Fi. So they have some additional detail lah. Okay, so here they define this basic service set BSS and extended services ESS. Okay, the very basis is the BSS lah, with the basic building block that you have the access point. Okay, so BSS is made of stationary and mobile wireless station and a possible central base station known as access point. The BSS without an AP is a standalone network and cannot send data to other BSS, and this is called ad hoc architecture. Okay, so you can have this ad hoc architecture, for instance, the Bluetooth lah. And also you can actually do this with your Wi-Fi lah. So some application can connect directly between two devices without having to get this access point. But the very basic building block is that we have this access point. So this architecture, station can form a network without the need of AP. They can locate each other and agree to be part of the BSS. Okay, but as a normal one is that you need to have this access point. Okay, so this is the they call it infrastructure BSS with an AP. Okay, and this is the without any AP, meaning that based on mesh lah. Okay, so you can connect to each other. Some similar to your mesh network, but wirelessly lah. So this is how you can see the implementation. Okay, this one without access point, this one with access point lah. So an extended service set is made up of 2 or more BSS with AP. Okay, so in this case, BSS are connected through distribution system, which is usually a wireline. So you will have something like a backbone, okay, and then you have your AP over here, okay, and then you have the coverage, okay. So this considered as one BSS, okay, and the communication here is considered as a ESS, extended services, okay. So AO2 does not restrict the distribution system. It can be either Ethernet LAN, such as Ethernet, and the ESS uses 2 types of station, mobile and stationary. The term mobile and stationary, if I want to highlight over here, is that you can have a wireless communication that you have maintain the position. Okay, like if you are having your desktop, okay, connecting using your or you have an interface for Wi-Fi, so it's considered stationary. Whereas mobile, basically you can move between two base station. Okay, so and then this one they will have some different implementation. For instance, if you have what they call it handover process, okay, so will smooth, meaning that when you play your, for instance, YouTube, move from one base station or access point to another access point, the YouTube will always play lah, okay. Whereas if you don't have this handover, meaning that once you left your first access point, then it will stop. Then it will only resume once it's connected to the next access point. Okay, so that's the difference between mobile and stationary. So the mobile station are normally stationed inside a BSS, then the stationary station are AP station at the part of a wired line, right? So this is the ESS. This is the BSS, basic. Okay, and then this is the ESS, extended. Okay, where you have your this is your backbone lah, for instance, and then you have your AP connected to your backbone, and every user is connected to the access point. And then perhaps you can have this what they call it AAA server, where you can have all the authentication being implement. Okay, so only with one single connection or one single secured access, so you can actually go across any of these access point. Okay, so that's the ESS. So when BSS are connected, we can have it called infrastructure network. Okay, in this network, station within each of the of one another can communicate without the use of an AP, and communication between two station into AP usually occurs via two APs. Okay, and a mobile station can belong to more than one BSS at the same time. Okay, so nothing new. Okay, and then the station itself, okay, it have this no transition. Okay, there's a transition and also BSS transition. Okay, so here a station with no transition, mobility is either stationary or moving only inside a BSS. Okay, so no transition meaning that you are actually stationary, not moving, or perhaps you are within the same BSS. Okay, you are not moving out of the single BSS. Then if you have a BSS transition, okay, mobility can move from one BSS to another, but the movement is confined inside one ESS. Okay, so inside one ESS, just now you have just one BSS, right? BSS. Okay, right now you are in ESS. Okay, and ESS you have two BSS. So this is ESS and this is BSS. BSS. Okay, so with this BSS transition, meaning that move from the one BSS from here, okay, to another one, but within the same ESS. Okay, and the station with ESS transition mobility can move from one ESS to another one. So meaning that this one is much more greater. Okay. Um, But however, 2.11 does not guarantee the communication is continuous during the move. Okay, so this is what I mentioned about handover process. Okay, in mobile communication, they have this handover process, means that when you move from one base station, it will be catched by another base station. Okay, and we have a smooth transition. But for Wi-Fi, sometimes they don't have this lah. Okay, it depends on the implementation. Okay. Then if you look at the next slide, okay, hidden station problem. So here you will see that if you have three different user connected wirelessly, right? Okay. So A and B, okay, can communicate between each other. Then A and C also can be communicate within each other. But B and C cannot communicate because they are from different access point. Okay, so B and C, here it says B and C are actually hidden from each other with respect to A. Okay, so A knows B, A knows C, but B and C is actually not a friend lah. Okay, so this is what we call hidden station problem lah. Okay, so when you have this hidden station problem, okay, station C is outside the range of B. Likewise, B is outside the transmission range of C. So station A, however, is in the area covered by both B and C. It can hear both signal. Okay, B and C are hidden from each other. Okay, so with that means that you will have a collision. Okay, because perhaps A want to communicate to B, B want in the same time C want to communicate to A. Okay, so you will have collision. So how do you solve this? Okay, so assume both are sending in the middle of the transmission. Station C also send the data. However, station C is out of B range, okay, and cannot reach C. Therefore, C thinks that. Sorry.
我在上课，你可以去做掉你的东西吗？
Excuse me, can you mute your microphone? Who's that? Okay, please mute your microphone. Okay, so basically they are not in the same channel lah. Okay, so station C sends a data to A, which result in a collision at A because the station is received data from both B and C. And in this case, we say that station B and C are hidden. Okay, so station B and C are hidden from each other. Okay, so hidden station can reduce the capacity of the network because of the possibility of collision. Okay, so although you have this what they call collision CSMA CA collision avoidance. Okay, but in this case you still have problem because they are not on the same network. Okay. So the solution to the hidden problem is to use a handshake frame, RTS and CTS. okay, that being implemented, so that A will actually send clear to send whenever that you have a request to send, okay, to both of the end devices which are not connected together. Okay, so this is hidden station, or what they call it, hidden station problem lah. And another problem is exposed station problem. Okay, so here C is exposed to transmission from A to B. Okay, okay, but then when you have this kind of implementation, okay, you can read it. But basically here it mentioned that A and C, C and D are on the same network. But basically, A and B also can communicate using the blue range. Okay, so they actually can communicate, but basically they are not trying to send from C to D, and C and D can communicate to themselves. Okay, so basically we can say that this is exposed, although you send this packet but not intended for A lah. C wanted to send to D but intended but also need to send information to A. Sorry, it doesn't communicate to A, so it's exposed lah. So this is what we call exposed problem. Okay, so you need to have this a handshake between all this, okay, because you do need to have this communication between A to C lah. Okay. And last but not least, okay, is the Bluetooth, right? I think I will end very shortly. Before that, let me show for your Bluetooth. Okay, so Bluetooth will have two different mode right now. The Bluetooth Classic, okay, and the Bluetooth Low Energy, right? It's a short range, with 2.4 gigahertz, same as your Wi-Fi, the frequency band. Evolved into distinct version, Bluetooth Classic for continuous data, and Bluetooth Low Energy for intermittent and power efficiency communication. So this one is the one that you usually use on my left-hand side, okay? Where it's for continuous data, where you play your music, you play your game, okay? Communicate with your headphone, and then for this low energy, okay? So you are communicating with your personal tracking device, your fitness tracker, IoT sensor, and smart home device. Okay, so these are the normal one. But for Bluetooth itself, okay, is a wireless LAN, but much more shorter distance, okay. And usually this is called ad hoc network, okay. So ad hoc, or what we call also mesh network, is where you can connect between all the devices without having to have access point lah. Okay, so and usually this is called Piconet. It is defined as 802.11, and the term they use is actually personal area network, right? And the architecture lah, it can have this Piconet and Scatternet. Okay, so Piconet will be something like this lah, where you have one primary and then you have the secondary, or you call it slave lah. And it can go up to 8 users only. Okay, so for Piconet, okay, so you can have 1, 2 until 8 only, 8 users. Okay, if you want to extend, then you have to do for a Scatternet lah. Okay, so Scatternet, basically you can have additional network that have a common user. Okay, so like here, this one can become a primary for this part of your Piconet, but it also a secondary for this Piconet, right? So it can actually connected to those. Basically, this is to extend your Bluetooth connection lah. So you have this Piconet and Scatternet. Okay, so up to 8 station. So you will need to have one master and multiple slave. Okay, and secondary station synchronous with other clock and hope sequence with the primary station. And the communication will be 1-to-1. or one-to-many. So this is the Piconet, and then it can have a maximum of 8 secondaries, and additional 8 secondaries can be in the park state. And the secondary in the park state synchronized with the primary but cannot take part of the communication until removed from the park state. And then scatternet can be where Piconet can be combined to form what is called a scatternet. Okay, so a secondary station in one Piconet can become the primary in another Piconet. Okay, and the station can receive message from the primary in the first Piconet and the secondary acting as the primary delivery for the secondary part. I think a bit confused lah. But basically by this diagram, you already know lah. Okay, so it can actually communicate with 8 different users, 1 primary and 7 secondary. Then it can extend by having a common device that connecting through this. It can be the secondary for this network, and it can be also secondary for the second network, or perhaps you can become a primary for the second network itself. Okay. So Bluetooth is a short range. Okay. Data rate is around 1 Mbps, and 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth is used for your Bluetooth. Okay. Interference lah, because you are using 2.4, so it will be interfere with all other devices that using 2.4 gigahertz. Okay. Mobile phone and mouse also using that. Okay. So with respect to that, okay, so we have covered the local area network, the MAC, and also the LLC. We saw about local area network with Ethernet communication, where we define it as 802.3 IEEE standard. Okay. We see that you have the standard Ethernet, you have the fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet, 10 gigabit Ethernet. Okay, and can also extend to higher, much higher bandwidth. Then we see the Wi-Fi, okay, 802.11, and you also have the personal area network, Bluetooth at 802.50, right? Any question? If not, perhaps let me just get your attendance